Hi, guys. Oh my goodness, you're so ferocious. Should I just be terrified of you?
Alright, so the boy, Max Verstappen, he has been talking. I should probably stop calling him boy now, like he's 24, 25 soon. But the boy, Max Verstappen, he has been talking. And Verstappen is probably gonna be over a few seasons, right? He's gonna be a textbook example of a few key lessons that Formula One drivers need to learn when it comes to their etiquette, especially in front of cameras, in front of microphones. Because there's a lesson that Verstappen is going to learn this season, right? And we can juxtapose him with Lewis Hamilton and how he's handled similar situations. We'll probably do that. But the lesson that Verstappen is going to learn this season is that loose lips sink ships. All right. Now I always used to think that loose lips sink ships was like some reference to snitching. Don't snitch or the whole ship will sink. Or no, I was completely mistaken. I was a foolish young mind. I was a foolish young boy then. And it's got absolutely nothing to do with snitching. What loose lips sink ships actually talking about is when you talk loosely in an enclosed space, all right, and you've got your shipmates around you. So you talk loosely on a ship, all right, and you're talking loosely about other people who are on the ship. One thing you got to remember is sound travels and the walls have ears. All right. So now you're talking loosely about a guy. You say like, his missus is fat, ugly, like I seen her or some shit, or or that guy, like I'm pretty sure he's gay, like I ain't seen him actually do the thing, but he gives me all these vibes. Or you just disrespect people silently on the side like that. The walls have ears. They will hear. And there's going to come a point where you're going to need these people to actually help you. All these people that you've been just talking loosely about, you're going to need them to help you. And they're not going to help you because you've sunk the ship. Loose lips sink ships. Now Verstappen, he's talking quite loosely at the end of the Australian Grand Prix. And I'll forgive him for the engine failure. I get it, it's frustrating. And if you are actually in a championship outfit or you're in a team with championship ambitions, then yeah, it is unacceptable to be having engine failures. Yeah, that we can all agree on. But one thing you don't say, and you can run through Lewis Hamilton's, like all of his presses over this, like go to all of Hamilton's bad races over the past 6-7 years, and pay attention to how he handles himself in those presses. Pay really close attention, because never ever does he slag off the car like, okay, there's been instances where Red Bull were faster over the weekend or Ferrari were faster over there. Never ever does he slag off the car, alright? Never will he say, our pace was terrible. Verstappen just said the pace was terrible over the Australian Grand Prix. Now, I don't know, my boy, you're literally the second fastest car on the grid. So, can you really say the pace was terrible? No, you just didn't have those final details to be the fastest. Now, if you put Hamilton in that same situation, he just says, well, we move on. Hopefully we win the next race. Of course, every driver would say that. But you would never hear him say the car was terrible or that, the car had terrible pace or anything. He might say that he himself had poor pace, Lewis Hamilton, right? He would say that, I had poor pace this weekend, Monaco, or I had poor pace, made some shoddy decisions on the setup or something, like, Hamilton would appreciate his own agency in all of these outcomes. Verstappen, by contrast, he doesn't do that. The boy doesn't do that. Instead, it's Verstappen. He's been completely faultless in his agency, right? Even though him telling his engineer, what the car is doing so that they can dictate setup, it's his words that affect all of that. He's not happy with the outcome, so you as the driver, you have to take some responsibility there. You can't just say, "Oh, the car was terrible, and we got to fix up for next weekend." Like, hold on now, the car is terrible by your own evaluation because of decisions that you've made that have gone into the car. You see? So now, let's just imagine, right? You're a factory worker, Milton Keynes. You're at the Red Bull factory, right? Now you don't have time. Maybe you don't have time to read these full articles or something. You just have time for the headlines or something, right? And now, the reporters can write up whatever. You see, this is where media training comes in, and this is where you actually have to, especially as a front-running driver in Formula One, you really have to know how to tame and control the media, because the media will run all sorts of headlines on you, right? So you've got Verstappen, you've got the journos basically putting it in writing that, Verstappen has slammed the car or something. Whether he has or he hasn't doesn't really matter. There's going to be people at factory who just don't have time to sit down and read an article because they've got to, get through a whole 500-page textbook on some piece of engineering just to help this ungrateful kid who just always has a complaint to say about who always has a complaint to say about the car if he doesn't win. Now you compare that to Hamilton's worst weekends. Never ever does he slag off the team or the car's pace or anything like that. Even on the worst of weekends, never does he do that. Never ever does he. Matter of fact, Hamilton and Toto are like a dynamic 1-2 punch for the factory, right? Because Hamilton will keep the spirits high, because here's your star driver, and the factory might have let him down, but he's not gonna hang the factory out to dry like that. Toto comes in with the second punch, and he will establish the facts for the factory. And of course, when Toto goes factory, it's not like people are gonna stop working, right? It's Toto in the building. You work harder, all right? And of course, Toto trusts you. That's why you're there to begin with. So, there's a whole lot of juxtapositions to be done between these two teams. But right now, Verstappen and Hamilton, just pay attention to how they talk about, or pay attention to how Verstappen talks about the team, the car, and his issues. If, as I suspect, he's going to keep coming up a crupper with reliability issues. And by the way, these reliability issues, I don't believe Horner for a second. I don't believe Horner or Marco for a second when they say it's a fuel issue, a fuel vacuum issue. Yeah, could it happen? Sure, it could totally happen. But we're kind of at a point right now where Formula One teams are just too smart for this. They're just too smart for it. If Williams haven't been caught out by it, then, why are Red Bull being caught out by the fuel pump issue, the fuel vacuuming, right? Everyone's using this E10 thing. Oh, it might evaporate more because of pressure differentials and all that. I get it. But doesn't mean I have to believe whatever Horner's saying. And quite frankly, just on inspection, a lot of the experts, they don't actually believe what Toto's saying. Well, not Toto. They don't actually believe what Horner's saying when he says, "Oh, we had a fuel issue." So let's run with Horner's words. If it's not engine related, and if it's not something like hydraulics or electrical or something, and it's this fuel issue, then y'all should have gotten on top of it already. There shouldn't have been an Australia retirement. To me, and this is going to be something that crops up over the season, of course, because I'm expecting Red Bull to just have a lot of retirements. To me, it frankly looks like, well, Bahrain, it looked like both cars came up a couple with hydraulic issues, and the AlphaTauris, Yuki. You see, Yuki is a real talking point too. We'll get to Yuki as well as it relates to Red Bull powertrains. But we've seen what I believe are two hydraulic failures from the main Red Bull team, and two electrical failures from the AlphaTauri team. And this Australia one, quite frankly, it just looks like build quality on the engine might be out. Something slipped out of place because the engine shat itself, right? All the parts are shitting themselves. Yes. That's what Verstappen's out. These are his own words. So to me, quite frankly, the Australia situation looks like a build quality situation. Why would build quality be a problem in Formula One cars, right? This is the cutting edge of motorsports and all of that, the bleeding edge of technology, Listen, when the hands, you see the engine and most of the car, quite frankly, outside of when you fabricate the parts and all of that, but the car has to be put together by human hands at the end of the day. And now I said after Abu Dhabi that there's going to be some human hands throughout that Red Bull organization who are not going to have the same Midas touch that they did last season, because, well, they put their gold hand into the pot, and rather than forging a sword, their round table of knights, your Marcos, your Horners, your Verstappens, they decided to form a gun. And oh no, we're not slaying the dragon with sword and shield now, we're just gonna use a gun. Matter of fact, it's his gun. That guy over there, who's actually like watching over the whole Gladiator games, it's his gun, we're using his gun. He's gonna fire the bullet too. Bam. So now you've got all these unmotivated hands in Red Bull. And of course, I don't see why these unmotivated hands would build the same bulletproof engines that they were building last season. Yeah, I just don't see why they would build the same bulletproof engines they were building. And their engines last season were brilliant. They actually had best engine on the grid. Red Bull Hondas was back then, right? Now it's just Red Bull powertrains. But they had the best engine on the grid. Undoubtedly, for like 3/4 of the season, they undeniably had the best engine on the grid. And you're not gonna have the best engine on the grid this season. Why is that? Well, I mean, you can have performance-wise the best engine, but you're not gonna have the reliability. And that reliability is always gonna be lacking for as long as Verstappen has all these lessons to learn. I mean, there's even the number one issue. I mean, look, let me just get to Yuki before I close out this video. All right. The real, I suppose the canary in the coal. The real fire, right? The real fire in the building for Red Bull, right? That they need to take note of is that Tsunoda has also come a cropper with reliability woes. So if my theory of the Japanese hands that have been recruited from Honda High Performance, right? If the Japanese hands have, just lost some motivation and stuff, then, maybe they would still pull out some stops for their own countrymen. Well, it's not happening, right? Tsunoda's also coming up a cropper with reliability. And it will be very telling, because if Tsunoda keeps on coming up a couple with reliability as well as just the other drivers in the Red Bull stable, they're gonna have a real problem to rectify. I mean, Red Bull and Verstappen fans might be praying later on that it was just a fuel issue, right? They might be praying for real that, oh, please just let it be this fuel vacuuming issue and all of that. Please, oh, please just let it be a pressure problem in the fuel tank. You know, if Tsunoda's coming up a problem, then that means that not even National Ties will get these hands to work at their peak capacity. All right, they won't even do it for their own countrymen. Why would they do it for Verstappen? All right, yeah, they'll put the engines together. They'll construct the engines, of course. They contracted. You know, you got to be professional to be in this F1 thing. You got to be highly professional, right? But that motivation that was putting them on a level with peak Mercedes, yeah, that's gone now. That's gone now. And, you know, it's anyone's guess how long until Horner, Marco, and friends. I mean, I would like to include Dietrich, but he's so hands off, so it's not even worth mentioning him. But yeah, these guys have a lot of fires to put out. A lot of fires at Red Bull. And you know what? Verstappen ain't helping the situation. He himself is a fire starter. The boy himself is a fire starter, and no one wants to put manners on him. You know, no one wants to advise him like, hey, look, listen, you don't talk about what happens at the factory. That's my job, all right? Horner should be doing this. Horner should be doing this by all accounts. You go to Max Verstappen, you sit him down, you say, listen, you do not talk about the car. You talk about your race, your driving. That's what you talk about. You do not talk about the car. You do not talk about reliability, anything. Yes, it's disappointing that, you know, the engine's going pop. Yes, it's disappointing, but you do not talk about that to the media because you got loose lips and you don't know how to rein them in. So I will do that fucking talking. Horner saying that. Yeah? Horner has to tell him, I will do the talking. All right, when we talk about the car or reliability issues or whatever, I will do that talking. You do not do that talking. All right, Hamilton, I'm pretty sure he's got an agreement with Toto from the jump, from the get-go when he signed that contract. Probably had it with Lauda too. Hamilton says, I will just talk about, you know, the driving, and you guys can do the rest. If I do mention the factory, Hamilton speaking, if I do mention the factory, then, you know, I'll be saying nice things about them exclusively. And that's pretty much what he does. Verstappen, it's not the same. There's a lesson to be learned there. So we'll just have to see what happens this season. I'm at peace. So I gotta put this in a post or like a PS type of thing, right? There's one interesting detail that I just, you know, keep forgetting or discarding regarding the whole Red Bull situation right now, and Mercedes, because this relates directly to Mercedes, right? There's one detail that I just keep omitting, discarding, forgetting, whatever, and that is that Red Bull actually have a lot of former Mercedes personnel there. Now, who knows if they're on the engine or on the aero or what have you. But, you know, there's details on the car that keep on going missing, and not only are there highly principled Japanese people there who might be feeling some way about the way things have gone, especially with Verstappen having the number one in his car and he's dirty fucking champion, but there's also former Mercedes personnel there. And I'm pretty sure they still are completely enamored with Hamilton because, you know, I've just run a comparison between Hamilton and Verstappen here, and it's night and day. I'm sure those personnel are still like enamored with Hamilton. So to see him have a championship stolen from him like this, and for then the guy who stole championship, you know, who stole the damn championship, he's now got number one on his car. He's flaunting it like he actually did something. You know, it's just an interesting thing to know. It's just an interesting thing to know, and it seems appropriate for this video for me in terms of loose lips sink ships. It was probably also appropriate for some other videos, but it will go here. So yeah, that's worth noting to me. I had enjoyed that.
Hell breezy. Let me show you how to keep the dice rolling when you're doing that thing over there, homie. Hey, let's go! Cause I'm feeling like I'm running and I'm feeling like I gotta get away. Better know that I don't and I won't ever stop. Cause you know I gotta win every day. Go! See, they really wanna pop me. Go! Just know that you will never flop me. And I know that I gotta be a little cocky. Go! You ain't never gonna stop me. Every time I come, a nigga gotta set it, then I gotta go in, then I gotta get it, then I gotta blow it, and I gotta shut it. Any little thing a nigga think that he be doing, cause it doesn't matter, cause I'm gonna dead it. Then I'm gonna murder everything and anything about it. Boom, about a bing. I gotta do a lot of things to make it clearer to a couple niggas that I always win, and then I gotta get it again and again and again. And I be doing it to death, and now I move a little foul. Nigga better call a rap, and everybody know my style. Niggas know that I'm the best when it comes to doing this, and I be banging on my chest, and I bang in the east, and I banging in the west, and I come to give you more, and I will never give you less. You will hear it in the street, and you can read it in the press. Do you really wanna know what's next? Let's go. See the way we on it, and we all up in the race, and you know we gotta go now, try to keep up with the pace, and we struggling and hustling to set it and to get it, and we always gotta do it, take it to another place, gotta taste it, and I gotta grab it, and I gotta cut all through this traffic just to be at the top of the dome. But I know I got